Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you. Myself, Vaibhav. I'm your host for the today's session of Daily Stock, in which we are going to talk about the quarterly earnings of Nvidia, which is, pardon me for the interruption, which is the darling of the investors. We have seen its market valuation skyrocket in this financial year. Even after a recent decline, it is still trading at a high gains for the whole fiscal year. Even if you look at its year-to-date gains, these are remarkable. And why it has happened, that is one thing which we have tried to understand in the prior sessions as well, and I will be trying to explain to you some of the key driving factors behind this exponential growth which Nvidia is seeing. It is much more volatile these days. You would have noticed that in comparison to other big trillion-dollar companies, its stocks moves quite quickly. It is up or down, much more volatility. It is moving quite fast in comparison to other big companies, and that is also a reason I feel to keep a close eye on it, because more the volatility, more the opportunities which we can trade on, which we can exploit to our advantage, provided we get a good hang of the volatility and we are able to define the levels and the kind of moves which we feel are going to be profitable for us. First, we will consider the fundamental aspects of the company, and afterwards, we will also consider its price movements to figure out the opportunities for us to trade and invest. Back in May, it released its quarterly earnings for the first quarter of fiscal year 2025. Here, if you remember, for most sessions I conduct of the daily stock, we say the fiscal year 2024, but for the Nvidia, it is the fiscal year 2025. So, for all these different companies, they operate on different financial calendars. So, this is one thing which you have to keep in mind. So, for the last quarter, it released its earnings with record numbers. Its quarterly revenues have gone up to $26 billion, which is a record for the company. It is up sequentially as well as year on year. It is up 18% in comparison to the prior quarter, and it is up to 62% in comparison to a year back. That is nothing less than remarkable, and bulk of this revenue is coming from the data center, because these big players in the business have started to upgrade their existing data centers to work as AI factories, and that is driving the demand for the kind of GPUs NVIDIA provides, and that is fueling this increasing demand and raising the revenues for the company with I think there are not many parallels in the industry for this kind of operating margins as well. And as the demand for these GPUs have shot up, we have seen the bottom line, the net profit for the Nvidia has also gone through the roof. Its profit margin is somewhere in the ballpark of 70%. I don't really feel there are many companies with which are able to enjoy that kind of profit margin on any product they sell or service. Now, coming to the more details, we will go to its quarterly statement, its income statement, to see what are the key factors which we can take into account while determining how things are likely to shape up for the company over next few quarters. We also have the outlook for the second quarter of this fiscal year, which is pointing for the further growth. If you consider the revenue guidance, it is expected to be in the ballpark of $28 billion, which is again going to give us growth both in terms of sequential as well as annual numbers, annual figures. The profit margins, the gross margins are in the vicinity of 75%. The tax rate is expected to be around 17 percentage point plus or minus 1%. These are some of the key highlights of the achievements which have happened for the Nvidia since it released its earnings in the prior quarter. It has collaborated with giants in the tech field, and most of the big names in the tech field are using the GPUs provided by the Nvidia. They are partnering with the Nvidia. The gaming segment we shouldn't forget in this AI frenzy. The gaming has been the mainstay of the company for many years, and now, in comparative terms, the revenues which are being generated from the gaming segment are being easily dwarfed by the revenues from the data center, but still, the gaming remains a big business for the company, and that's where it developed its expertise, which is now coming handy as it is expanding in different verticals. This is the condensed consolidated statement of income. The revenues, the difference you can see clearly. The revenues for the quarter ended April 30th, 2023 was at $7.2 billion. Now you have to see for yourself how much things have changed on the revenue front for the Nvidia. It has gone up from making around 7.2 billion a year to earning more than 26 billion a year, and that has happened in a single year, in the span of single year. You are not going to find many examples of this scale. Staggering change in the business of the company has unfolded in the span of 1 year as the demand for these AI capable GPUs has shot up across the world, across the countries, across the businesses, and that is fueling these demand, which has made Nvidia one of the largest company by market capitalization in the world. And then you have to also look at the cost of revenue. The cost of revenue hasn't really gone up significantly, it has doubled. That is there. But in comparison to the growth in the revenue, the cost of revenue has not shot up that much, and that is the key factor of having these gross profit of $20.4 billion with operating expenses being contained at $3.5 billion. We have this operating income of $16.9 billion, and after adjusting for the other income and expenses as well as income taxes, we have the net income of $14.88 billion, which is I think almost 7.5 times of what it was earning a year back. So this is the kind of remarkable growth story which we have in front of our eyes, and equally remarkable has been the journey of its stock price, which has also gone up multiple times, and it is trading at quite a premium now. We are not going to go into details of the balance sheet much. We will simply see how things are on the cash side of the business. It generated significant amount of money, a serious amount of money in the quarter ended April 28th, where you have the cash provided by the operations at $15.34 billion. which is almost 5 times of what it was generating a year back. Then out of that cash, it also utilized the cash for the purchases of the marketable securities. It has gone for the short-term investment in terms of these purchases. It has also utilized its proceeds from the earlier maturities of the securities. In total, we have these cash outflow on account of investment activity at US dollar 5.7 billion. Then for the financing activity, another US dollar 9.3 billion were used. If you read these numbers, you will see that the payments for the repurchases of the common stock, that is for the buyback program, share buyback program, is at US 7.7 billion. So a lot of money is being returned to the shareholders in the form of share buybacks, which is also going to enhance the value proposition for the existing shareholders. Dividend payment is not that substantial. Overall, its cash and cash equivalent has gone up by $300 million, with this cash pile rising to US dollar 7.5 billion in comparison to the US dollar 7.28 billion at the start of the period. Now we will shift gears to the technical side, as we have seen that the fundamentals are solid for the Nvidia. It in a unviable position. It is well poised for further growth. The kind of volatility I was talking about is for us to witness. There have been sharp moves over last couple of weeks, couple of months, couple of days. No matter on which time horizon you see, there are increasing signs of increased volatility visible on all the time frames. First, we will consider the short term. Afterwards, we will also look into the medium term and the long term price trajectory. In the short term, after having touched the price levels of 140, it has moved quite sharply. It has decelerated now closer to the 1000 level. It is still some distance away from the 1000 mark, but the price trajectory is clearly visibly bearish, and we will have to trade keeping this price trajectory in mind. If we want to profit, if we want to grow, we will have to consider these price moves and then plan our trades accordingly. So in short term, I feel the price momentum is clearly bearish, and we will do well to go with the flow and start looking for opportunities to short it. So adopting a sell on rally approach is going to be the best thing for us, for the traders, for the investors. In last couple of sessions, we have seen it consolidating closer to these 120 price mark. After consolidating closer to the 120, it has then sharply moved lower. It made this price low of around 106, and from there on there was retracement, again consolidation for two trading sessions, and finally there is further break on the downside. In this fall, it is better to go with the flow than to try to catch a falling knife. Adopting a sell on rally approach over next two sessions is much more advisable, provided you get decent retracement, and after that there should be consolidation, which should keep the price formation of lower low and lower high intact. And as long as these conditions are fulfilled, we can keep searching for the opportunities to short it. Now, for price action, we will have to keep some price levels in mind. I feel its immediate consolidation high of around 115 is going to be a crucial marker. So watch out for these price moves in the next retracement and consolidation phase of the Nvidia. Right now, it is sitting at the very bottom, so that is a no-go zone purely from the risk-reward perspective. It can continue to decline even from the current levels, but purely for the safety purpose, I would say that allow it to retrace somewhat and then it should consolidate over next few trading sessions, and afterwards our opportunity will be there for us to take advantage of. In the medium term, we will have to expand the time frame. I have increased the candle period hourly to daily, so we are able to cover much more time data of how things have shaped up over last few weeks, last few months, and how things are likely to unfold over next few weeks, next few months. In the medium term, the price move is clearly in a bullish formation. We have this price momentum, which is increasingly bullish. It has been making these higher highs and higher lows for a while now, and this growth I have already talked about, where it has grown multifold in this span of single year over last 6 to 7 months. Now, after having touched the 140 level, there have been corrections toward the 1000 mark, and over next few sessions, I would want some stabilization to happen in the Nvidia stock first before we can think about getting involved for the long story. For the buy trade, you will have to allow it to consolidate, and if it holds the ground, it is able to keep the price formation of higher highs and higher lows intact. In that scenario, we can then go with the momentum and try to take advantage of its for possible move on the higher side. For our consolidation phase, there are going to be certain levels which we will have to keep an eye on. For this consolidation phase, it is going to be important for the Nvidia stock to hold above the price levels of the prior swing low, which is there around 75. If in this correction it continues to roll downhill, and if there is some support to be found around the price range of 80 to 90 over next few trading sessions, next few weeks, I would say that is going to be the time for us to decide whether to go for the long trade or not. But for the time being, it is still like a falling knife, and I would say refrain from getting involved at the current juncture for the long trade. Maybe better opportunity will come at a later date. In the long run, it is equally bullish. If you change its candle period to weekly, you will see that there has been a fundamental shift in the way market has capitalized, market has given the valuation to the Nvidia. In the very short span, it has gone up multifolds because even the keen observers of the companies working were caught by surprise, and this growth unfolded, which is now clearly visible in the fundamentals as well as technicals. But moving forward, if we have to take advantage of this bullishness, we will have to make sure that the price formation remains of higher highs and higher lows. If that is the requirement, we need the ongoing correction to subside and not really cross below the immediate swing low of 75. If that happens, we will have much more reasons to believe for the continuity of this bull run, this remarkable bull run, or else we have to compare, we have to also be prepared for the possibility of extended consolidation. And if the consolidation takes place without a fresh swing low, I would say that in course of time over next few months, we are likely to see the Nvidia rallying back towards 140 and beyond. So on all these different time horizons, you will have to follow independent approach because the picture is not really that clear. We have these short-term price formation which is bearish. In the medium term, things are bullish, but we need to wait for better opportunities come our way. In the long run also, the same thing holds true. You will have to wait and allow it time to consolidate, and then as and when it is trying to rally again, we can get involved provided we have our other requirements in place and then try to take advantage of the situation. So that's it from my side for today's session where we discussed the fundamentals as well as technical aspects of the quarterly earnings of Nvidia, which released its quarterly earnings back in November. It looks great. It is growing substantially. It is growing strongly, and it is likely to sustain this bullish momentum. Only thing which we need is to make sure that the risk reward ratio is in favorable position, and we have the odds in our favor. That's it from my side. Now it's time for you to also write to me if you have any query or any idea to share. Do write to me. Thank you all for joining in. Have a fabulous time ahead. See you next time around. Till then.